going on, guys? It's Steve. So, who is the better team? The Boston Celtics or the Toronto Raptors? Now, the reason why I'm saying this right now is because at this point in time, today, the Boston Celtics and the Toronto Raptors are going to be playing each other, and it's going to be an absolute epic game. Now, unfortunately for me, I'm not going to be able to watch it just because if I try to watch it on League Pass, everything's gonna mess up because the connection right now in my college, I mean, I can try, but most likely it's gonna be skipping every 2 seconds. So I'm gonna be too frustrated to watch it like all the way through. However, I will sit here and I'll say that this is going to be an epic game between Boston and Toronto. These two teams are going to go at it. Now, who's the better team? Now, in order to do this, and another reason why I'm doing this video is because Boston is second in the Eastern Conference now. Remember, Toronto was second for a very, very long time. Toronto was second last year. They were second almost the entire season this year until recently, until the Boston Celtics just started to do their thing since Al Horford came back. I was wrong about the Celtics, man. I was. They're not a championship contending team, but they're a very good team. And I was very, very wrong about them. I was so wrong about the Boston Celtics. Anyway, so the Boston Celtics are the second seed at 30-18. 63% win percentage compared to the Toronto Raptors 61% at 30-19. So they're literally a half game ahead of Toronto. Now, Boston in the East is 22-9. Toronto is 18-8 in the East. In the division, Boston's 6-3. At home, they're 16-8, and on the road, they're 14-10. Their last 10, they're 7-3, and they're on a 4-game win streak. Now, the Toronto Raptors, 30-19, 61% win percentage. 3 games behind Cleveland, 18-8 in their conference, 9-1 in their division, which is really good, 17-9 at home, and 13-10 on the road, 4-6 in the last 10 games, and they've won 1 in a row. So they've been having a rough stretch. However, the Toronto Raptors are a very good team. Now, in terms of which team is star-studded, it's no doubt the Toronto Raptors. Now, if you look at DeMar DeRozan, that man is doing his thing. I mean, DeMar DeRozan is averaging, 26 points per game, 5 rebounds, 6, 7 assists. Doing his thing. You know, he had one of the best offensive starts since Michael Jordan, which is ridiculous. Kyle Lowry is doing his thing, 25, 5, and 5. Great players. This is my only concern about these two, and then I'll get back to the main topic. My main concern, and I've said this a million times, but they never show up in the playoffs for the last 3 years. So hopefully this year they show their asses up in the playoffs and they do some work, because it's very exciting to see some Toronto play in the playoffs because they can explode. Now, DeMar DeRozan, in order to take that next step, he needs to develop a three-point shot because he is very one-dimensional on the offensive end. You can shut him down. It's easier said than done, but teams, they know how to shut him down. Now, obviously, it's way easier said than done, judging how great he's playing this year. But if he had a three-point shot, it doesn't even have to be like to the level of Steph or Ray or Reggie or 3D or anyone. It's just like a LeBron. You can hit one every now and then, like 1 for 3. Every 3 shots you hit 1 3. Like he needs to at least have some sort of a three-point shot. And Kyle Lowry is doing his thing. Now, the window of opportunity for the Toronto Raptors is smaller unless they can get a point guard in the next year or two in replacement for Kyle Lowry, because a lot of people don't know Kyle Lowry is up there in age. This man has been in the NBA for a very long time. Kyle Lowry used to play with the Houston Rockets, and ever since he came to Toronto, he's been an all-star. So Kyle Lowry's been in the league for a while now, and age is going to start to catch up to him. He is 6'1", almost 200 pounds. He's doing his thing. He's been in the league since 2006. I think he was drafted to, if I get this right, not Sacramento, Memphis. I think he was drafted to Memphis, and I think he played with Memphis and then Houston, and then I think he came to Toronto right after. So he's been in the league for like 11 years now. And he's getting up there in age, man. He's 30 years old at this point, and he's going to keep getting older and older. So their window of opportunity is closing, and they probably need a backup point guard in the future. Now, Isaiah Thomas is a younger player. Isaiah Thomas is a beast of a player. He's 5'9". He's efficient. His heart and everything. People say if he were taller, he would be better. Not true. His heart is what makes him so good. If he were taller, maybe he wouldn't have the heart that he has now. So Isaiah Thomas is a beast. Al Horford is a beast. So in terms of star-studdedness, it's the Toronto Raptors. In terms of totality, this is tough because Jonas Valanciunas, I think, is a very underrated big man. He is a great big man. However, the Toronto Raptors still need one more big man. So let's segue into their rosters. Let's start off with the Boston Celtics. They got Isaiah Thomas, Al Horford. Those are the two best players. Jaylen Brown, Jay Crowder, Avery Bradley, and Marcus Smart. So they have three lockdown defenders, and then they have a veteran in Gerald Green. Their three lockdown defenders are Jay Crowder, Avery Bradley, and Marcus Smart. And Avery Bradley is having an all-star caliber season at 18 points per game, which is great. With Al Horford and Isaiah Thomas on the same team, that is great from Avery Bradley. He's efficient. He's a great perimeter defender. You have Marcus Smart, who's a good defender. You have Jay Crowder, who's a good defender. You have Kelly Olynyk, who likes to rip people's arms off. You have Gerald Green, James Young, Terry Rozier, Amir Johnson, who used to play with the Toronto Raptors, by the way, Jonas Jerebko. You know, this team, Tyler Zeller as well. This team, they're a great defensive team. Very great defensively. You know, and the Toronto Raptors are a very good offensive team. So it's going to be like they're going back and forth. So let's look at the Toronto Raptors roster. They have DeMar DeRozan, Kyle Lowry, Jonas Valanciunas, Jared Sullinger. Let me see. Who else? I'm sorry. This is all off the top of my head. I'm trying to remember. Terrence Ross. I think he comes off the bench still. Damari Carroll, the defender. Patrick Patterson. That Pottle guy. And their backup point guard. I think Norman Powell and the other dude. Corey Joseph. This team, you know, they're very well balanced. Now, who's a better team? This is tough because even if the Celtics win tonight, again, you know, it's just a regular season game. If the Raptors win tonight, it's just a regular season game. So really, the only way to answer this question is for these two teams to meet in the NBA playoffs. You know, maybe in the second round. You know, obviously, it's going to have to be in the second round. Or, obviously, probably not. It depends on the seeding. You know, but these two teams are going to have to meet in, you know, the second round or sometime in the playoffs. You know, I doubt it's going to be the conference finals because no team in the East can beat the Cleveland Cavaliers except, you know, I'll just leave it at that. You guys know who I'm talking about. So, yeah, the Boston Celtics, man, and the Toronto Raptors, two very solid teams. Now, you know a team that's really surprising me? The Washington Wizards. I didn't even have them in playoff contention when I predicted my playoff seeding. I didn't even have them in playoff contention, but the Washington Wizards are on a 5-game win streak. They're 14-game win streak at home, which is ridiculous. I think, I may be wrong about this, but I think they have the second or third, I'm pretty sure it's the third, or maybe fourth. Yeah, I think third or fourth. Best record at home. I know Cleveland, they're like 21-5. Golden State's like 22-4 or something like that. San Antonio's pretty good as well. And then I think it's Washington, which is ridiculous. If Washington weren't 8-14 on the road, they would have a top seed in the East, which is scary because they've been playing extremely well. They're on a 5-game winning streak. This is John Wall, Bradley Beal. You know, this team, they're not a scary team in terms of, oh, we can compete with the Cavs or the Raptors, the Celtics. No, but, you know, they're a pretty solid team. They're not a team to sleep on, you know. That's just the way it is. It's sort of like, you know what I was just thinking of? I think this was back in 2013 when Brandon Jennings said he was going to beat the Miami Heat when he was on the Milwaukee Bucks, when Miami was a first seed and Milwaukee was the 8th seed, and he was like, oh, we're going to sweep the Miami Heat. This dude is crazy. And I think actually Miami swept the Milwaukee Bucks. You know what I would have done if I were LeBron in that situation, or Wade or Bosh or whoever? I would have taken a broom right in Milwaukee at the Amway Center. I think it's called the Amway Center. And just started dusting off the floor with a broom. If I ever made the NBA and I swept the team, I would dead seriously do that. I'd probably get fined. I'd probably get a lot of flack from the media. But I don't care, man. People are too damn boring. I like to be exciting. I like to have fun. You know, some people are just so scared to have fun nowadays, man. But anyway, so back to the topic. I know I always segue off topic. Boston or Toronto? Again, I honestly don't know who's the better team. It's so tough to decide because both of these teams are, you know, pretty solid teams. You know, I mean, Toronto, I would say Toronto has, this is tough. Toronto has the better players, but I think Boston is more well-rounded in terms of offense, defense, and the whole 9 yards, just everything together. I just think they're way more well-rounded because these two teams, honest to God, these two teams, I think they're going to be great. You know, because if you look at it, Boston, they have offense and they have defense, whereas the Toronto Raptors, they have offense and, you know, they have some defense, not as great defense compared to Boston, because Boston has more lockdown defenders. You know, I know the stats may say I'm wrong or whatever, but I'm talking about from a perspective of my perspective where I can't watch every single game. I try to, but I just simply can't. I think Boston's a better defensive team and Toronto's a better offensive team. However, I think they're both good on both sides of the court. But either way, it's going to come down to whoever's having a better game between these two teams, to be honest. Because if DeMar DeRozan doesn't show up, if Kyle Lowry doesn't show up in the playoffs, the Toronto Raptors are going to stand no chance whatsoever against the Boston Celtics. But if Al Horford gets injured or one of their premier defenders get injured, they're going to stand no chance. If Avery Bradley gets injured, if Marcus Smart gets injured, if Jay Crowder, they're going to stand no chance because they're not going to have any defensive flexibility on the defensive end. They're going to have no flexibility on the defensive end. So that way, it's not going to be a good thing. Yeah, it's not going to be a good thing. Anyway, guys, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. It's been Steve. Let me know what you guys think. Who do you guys think is the best team between these two? The Boston Celtics or the Toronto Raptors? Anyway, guys, I'm out. Peace.